What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video here on Pig City Hockey. There are a lot of questions left still unanswered and a lot of decisions being made right now about the Winnipeg Jets from their new coaching staff that I, for one, am pretty surprised about. And, at this point in preseason, the lineup is pretty much drawn up, I have to say. I don't think these last two games against Calgary are really going to make a difference. Wednesday and Friday, the last matchups for us in preseason. And I think, for Scott Arniel and his coaching staff, I think the lines are pretty much set. What we're seeing at practices as of late, Connor playing with Scheifele and Velarde, Perfetti with Nemestikov and Ehlers, Niederreiter, Lowry, Appleton, Barron, Kupari, and Iafallo. Brad Lambert and Chibrikov aren't in that lineup, and as well, the fact that Ville Heinola is out and now that I was expecting him to play with Colin Miller, I expected that to be the a third pairing or maybe even the second pairing. Honestly, I wasn't sure, but I really expected Ville Heinola to make this team. But because he's out with the ankle infection because of his injury last year, and as well as Logan Stanley being out now, Chibrikov and Lambert look like they're not making the team. But a guy that I did not expect to make the team, and Ilya Samuelsson, is probably going to make this team. I think he is going to most likely slide into that spot Ville Heinola had locked up and play with Colin Miller. This is a guy that just won the championship last year in the Swedish Elite League and is a very, very good prospect, and he's looked better in every single game he's played in the preseason, and as well as in the Young Stars Classic, I must add. So this is a guy that I really like, but I did not expect making the NHL this year. I saw him at least a year, maybe even 2 years away. So for him to get this opportunity really shows his development, but also shows the lack of depth the Jets have. Hayden Fleury was signed in the offseason, and he has not been the guy for the Jets. I do not want him dressing for this team. It's going to remind me of Anthony Matteto situations from a couple of years ago, and obviously, Colin Miller has had an okay NHL career where, he's been around the block for a while, but what I've seen from him so far, I don't think that he is the depth that a Stanley Cup contending team should have, and it just seems like that is the problem right now that the Jets are running into, is that the young forwards that we really expected to make a difference this year aren't getting the opportunity that we thought they would. I think these guys have had pretty damn impressive preseasons compared to the likes of Kupari, Mason Appleton, and Alex Iafallo, even a Morgan Barron, to be honest. And, to have Samuelsson standing out is really only due because of injury. Ville Heinola had the spot locked up. It wasn't Samuelsson's, and then Logan Stanley as well as depth. So Ilya Samuelsson has really stepped up, and again, he's playing great. He definitely deserves this opportunity. Not knocking the guy whatsoever, and I'm really excited for him. I am very high on Ilya Samuelsson. I've ranked him very high in my prospect rankings in years past, and there's a good reason for that. He has the potential to be a very good NHL player for the Winnipeg Jets, and I'm really glad that the Jets are giving him the opportunity, it looks like, over Hayden Fleury, because I feel like in years past you might have seen a guy like Hayden Fleury being more that veteran presence, get that extra spot, but it seems like they're going with a rookie this year, and I think, for one, he has earned that spot, especially based off his preseason play, and no one else really has challenged him for it, especially because of the injuries in that spot. So it looks like some rookies are going to be getting an opportunity, which is great. You want to see that. The Jets promised an influx of youth eventually, and we're finally starting to see it. It just sucks that it's not on the forward end, because I look at that top six and I already have questions about Connor, Scheifele, and Velarde, because it's been proven metric-wise in years past that Scheifele and Connor aren't a necessarily great duo, and with a healthy season of Gabriel Velarde, that could make a difference, don't get me wrong, but I have my questions about how effective that line can be for a full 82 game season. And we've seen it time and time again, cold stretches from that line, inconsistency, and I don't know, I question it. I'm not going to freak out about it. It is still preseason. It's not like it's the end of the world, but, that type of thing we've seen before, and I thought that, analytics was going to be a big part of the coaching staff moving forward. That's the offseason message that we got month after month for the last few months, and I just don't understand why it seems to be changing, because the forward core, it looks weak. Nemestikov is a great player, don't get me wrong. I love him as a depth guy. He has good chemistry with Ehlers, and he's played well with Perfetti at times as well. I'm not saying he's not capable of jumping into that spot because of injury, or even as a utility guy in certain matchups, but at the same time, Vladislav Nemestikov as your second-line center is not going to get you far in the Stanley Cup playoffs, and it looks, again, like the Winnipeg Jets are probably going to have to pursue a 2C rental come trade deadline if they're in a contending spot again, which I think that they will be. And if that is the case, then again, why aren't we using our prospects? Because it seems like Brad Lambert has been given the message that he is being sent down to the Moose and will not start the year with the club. That is unconfirmed at this point, but 2 hours after they took the ice for training camp today, Brad Lambert was still working by himself on the ice. And with him and Chibrikov playing on the extra line, not being in the top 4 lines, it just seems like Brad Lambert's opportunity with this club is not coming immediately. And I think that he is obviously, not been a star out there in preseason, but in the bad losses that this team's had so far in preseason, Brad Lambert has not been, a weak link in those games by any means necessary, in my opinion. And I think that, he has some areas to work on still, but, he's not going to gain anything more from playing for the Moose. The Jets need youthful skill in their top 6, and giving him the opportunity to start the season with the club, I think is way more impactful than calling up in Christmas when we're looking for a bit of a boost or an injury happens, God forbid, or something like that. I just don't understand it. I think Lambert's had an incredible young stars. He's had a great preseason and shown a lot of growth in a lot of areas, and he's also played on some rosters so far in preseason that have not been very deep whatsoever, and have been more of a AHL showing than an actual NHL team potentially putting their best roster up there. It's really not been anything special by any means, and I think the same thing can be said for Nikita Chibrikov as well. Both of these young forwards, I think, should be given an opportunity with this club this year. I think they've earned it. I think they've proven that they have the skill to play at that next level. And, worst case scenario, you send them down after if they start to slump. That's what you do with young guys. You did it with Mark Scheifele. You've done it with Kyle Connor. You've sent players down in the past. I think Chibrikov and Lambert have done everything necessary and shown that they can play at the NHL level. And, I think that it's just I'm starting to question these coaching decisions already, and I never try to look into preseason too much, but from what I've seen from Chibrikov and Lambert, these guys have shown that they have the skill to play at the NHL level, and I think that they could really help benefit this team in a lot of areas, and I'm sorry, but and this is coming from a guy that liked Mason Appleton and defended him in a lot of situations last year, but there's no way you can look at me and say that a guy like Kupari, a guy like Mason Appleton, even a David Gustafson for that matter, or Morgan Barron even, should be guaranteed these spots in the bottom, the third and fourth lines, when they really haven't had a good production growths and, the best showcasings and to earn those spots. Mason Appleton last year had some of the worst slumps in hockey, regardless of the 36-point season he put up. He was terrible for very long stretches. Kupari, he had 1 assist in 28 games. It was a -5. Plus minuses, it really doesn't matter that much, but still, this guy did not really elevate the games he played. And then same with Morgan Barron, 18 points in 80 games played. He was really not out there for anything important. And when you add all those 3 guys' stats up alone and the cap that they're at, I don't understand how you could justify not bringing in 2 younger players on entry-level deals that could do that exact same thing, especially when you didn't have the necessary cap space to sign Cole Perfetti to a long-term deal, because you have players like this, your veteran presence, your veteran forwards, making this money and taking the opportunities from the young guys. I could be totally wrong. This video could age like milk, and I hope to God that that's the case, and maybe we'll see the Jets these guys will light it up and emerge as stars, but I don't know. I think the younger guys should be given an opportunity. I hope they make the team. I hope I'm wrong, but so far in training camp, it's starting to look like they're not going to make it. So let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. As always, peace and positivity as always. Go Jets go. I'll see you guys in the next one. It'll all be over.